Hi, today I wanted to walk through our roadmap that we have planned for this year, for this fiscal year. And if you want to follow along, the issue is located under the product project, issue number 1906. And the title is Release Stage FY22 Roadmap. And the idea around this epic or issue is that it kind of gives the high level picture of what the team is going to work on this year. This, of course, doesn't include every little bug or UX improvement or even infrastructure issues that we'll need to deal with, but it kind of gives you a high level idea of the big things that we want to work on in the different categories that the release stage owns. So I'm going to walk through this issue and kind of give a high level picture. And if anyone has any feedback or questions or remarks, feel free to reach out to me. So let's start with continuous delivery. So continuous delivery is the main pillar of the release stage, and that's why the largest chunk of the work is there. It's also organized by priority. So the first thing that we're working on is supporting Dora for metrics in GitLab. And so I'm just going to give a really high level view of what we want to do. Dora 4 metrics are the industry standard for measuring your DevOps lifecycle. It mainly measures efficiency and stability. And so what we want to do is make it really integrated and get these measurements and metrics inside GitLab. So what we want to measure is deployment frequency, lead time for changes, time to restore service, and change failure rate. I wanted to just quickly show the Figma file that describes what we want to do and accomplish for the MVC. Okay, so we have it here in this issue. And what we want to have is basically, we started off with adding all the metrics to Ultimate, but we're going to slowly kind of open that up to additional tiers. So let's start with core. What are core going to see? When you go under Analytics CI/CD, you'll be met by this new tile, which is above the pipeline graph that already exists. And this tile, we're taking it from what Value Stream Analytics already provided and is already supported in GitLab. And what we'll see is a numerical value for each one of the metrics. And that's it. For premium, what we wanted to do was add the same data that we have for the core users. This is also going to be here for premium, but there's going to be an additional tab here called Dora 4. And the Dora 4 metrics are going to be shown in charts. So you can see over time how the metric changed. Each metric is going to have its own chart. You can toggle with the dates displayed. For the MVC, this is going to be hard coded. One day we'll open this up and allow this to be user customized, but at the moment it's going to be hard coded to these dates. And each of the charts represents a different metric, but one chart, and you can toggle through the different timestamps. And then for Ultimate, the idea is that we have all the metrics that we have for core and for premium, but now we're also aggregating it to the group level. So if you saw here, this is on the project level. The project level will also be available for Ultimate, but this will also be available on the group level because usually the persona that we're targeting here, which is the executive, wants to see overall all the different projects in the organization and comparing them one to the other. So you can see the group level data also under CI/CD analytics, but now under the group. So that's Dora 4. We have several other videos that describe Dora 4 metrics, but I'm always open to answer any question about that. But if you are interested in the Dora 4 plan, we have this epic 4358 measure Dora 4 metrics in GitLab. This is a rather large epic. You can see linked here are a bunch of different issues and also underneath it epics. The basic idea is adding support for APIs and for charts this year. Okay, another thing that we've discovered was that there's a lot of potential for people to use CD features in GitLab, but they aren't. There's about twice, if not more, users that are using CI but do not continue the CD journey through GitLab. So what we wanted to do is kind of add little breadcrumbs and hints and guidance throughout the way to help users discover the CD features. So there's an epic called Increased Discoverability for CD Features, epic number 5239. These are the issues that are currently there, but we'll probably add more throughout the year. Just for a general idea, what we wanted to do was kind of figure out who are the users that have a pipeline that don't end up with a production environment or don't have a deploy job, and kind of just help them out and say, hey, we noticed you don't have deployments. Why don't you try adding them by either linking to the documentation or giving them snippets? This is a close collaboration also with a pipeline authoring team. They're building a new editor for YAMLs. So it's very natural to have some guidance over there as well. Also, if anyone on the team has ideas on where we can add additional guidance, please feel free to open these issues and link them here. Some of the ideas were in the pipeline view, some are in the YAML editor, but there can be more. So for example, even Dora 4, if we see that deployment frequency is rather low, we can also help hint to the users maybe to drop manual approvals or so on. There's a lot of ideas. So if you have any, just add them here to the epic. Next is support multi-cloud deployments. In this milestone, 1310, I plan to start research around this. We did a lot of work last year around AWS deployments. And the next logical step is multi-cloud deployments. This is becoming a wider trend in the industry. And we as GitLab should be able to support this pretty nicely. So my first attempt is to understand the pain points that the users have and then try to find solutions for them. So I assume this will be in the second half of the year that we'll work on this, but it's definitely an important topic to tackle. Group level resource group. So last year we added something called resource group, which allows you to limit the amount of consecutive deployments that you have to a specific target. This is extremely useful when you have a physical device that you're deploying to and you can't have multiple deployments going to that same physical device at one time. And so you limit the concurrency. It was a highly requested feature and people were really happy that we added it. But what they still asked was to have the support on the group level because many projects sometimes deploy to the same device. And so the project level lock wasn't good enough. So we want to expand it to the group level as well. Auto manual environment freeze. I'm really excited about this. This is the next steps to our last year's theme of post-deployment monitoring. We ended up with the really exciting feature for auto rollback in case the environment gets an alert. This is a different concept where we want to do an environment freeze. So this could be either automatically. So if there's some kind of alert, we're automatically going to freeze the environment and not let you do the following actions. They are either canceling any future deployment. It won't allow you to do any future deployments to this environment. That includes also incremental rollout or canary. It'll freeze any toggle of feature flags in this case, unless the freeze is lifted. And the idea is that if there's an alert and someone needs to debug the environment, we don't want more interference of unknowns like a feature flag being toggled or another deployment rolling out. The person, the SRE who is debugging the problem, needs the environment to be clean. And then once they figure it out, you can unfreeze the environment and let these actions continue. That was in case of automatic, but there's also a really nice use case of doing this manually. So today we support deployment freezes, for example, under the project settings. but it is heavily reliant on cron jobs. So you have to be planned. You have to plan for deployment freeze during Christmas or during the weekend. Here, this lets you manually take action. If something is wrong with environment, you can just freeze an environment unplanned, check out whatever you need to do, and then unfreeze it. So this is a really interesting concept. Our own delivery team is really excited about this. And so I think it's going to also benefit other additional customers. This is super useful, and I'm really, really excited to be working on this as well. The next category that we're going to touch upon is advanced deployments. Really, there's not a lot planned for this year under this category. What is planned is advanced deployments for AWS. And so this is an Epic number 3798. And the idea here is to introduce the advanced deployments canary blue-green for non-Kubernetes users. Today, advanced deployments in GitLab are supported only for Kubernetes users, but the way that we built the AWS deployments allows us to also utilize some of the AWS features. And so we don't really have to create something new. We're going to write on top of the AWS features that support these advanced deployments. And since we already have access to the AWS CLI, we can pretty much leverage that and allow advanced deployments for non-Kubernetes users, again, the ones that are deploying to AWS. Maybe we can explore this for other cloud providers, but for this year, this is the focus. For feature flags, this was a really big effort last year and even the year before. This year, given the fact that we're a consolidated team and we have much more categories with the same amount of people, what we're going to focus on in feature flags is these two issues mainly. One of them is feature flag as an issue type. Now, I'm not sure we'll end up actually pursuing feature flags as an issue type because the solution validation kind of came up that the issue type kind of confused users. But what we do want to do is take the best of both worlds and create a really nice experience for users using feature flags. So what did come up with the solution validation that we did in this issue was that a lot of the metadata that the issues have are really useful for feature flags as well. And that's what we want to bring and let the users use and benefit and collaborate on in features. So what we want to do is start bringing in different things from the issues. For example, who opened the feature flag, the create date, discussions. That was one of the really, really nicely received attributes in the solution validation. So people thought that this could really easily let them collaborate with their team on feature flags. And so that's really, really great and something that we'll definitely bring in. Labels and having a way to easily find feature flags was something that people really liked. And so I think what we'll start doing is just slowly, incrementally adding these attributes without actually making it an issue type. Yeah. The next issue is contextual code references for feature flags, and this one is also a super exciting feature. What this does is it really connects feature flags nicely to the code. So if you're already using GitLab SCM and you're using GitLab feature flags, you probably had to create a connection to the code to make this feature flag work. So if you have to change anything or you want to see what it looks like, this connects the contextual code references directly to the flag itself. And from there, you can see exactly, very similar to code diffs, the code itself, what was changed. And this is really, really useful and great. On to release orchestration. We have three topics that we want to tackle this year. One is auto changelog, and this is something that actually the delivery team is helping us implement. Basically, it creates an auto changelog based on any change that you did in the project based on the release tag and milestone that's connected to it. All the commits can automatically go into the release notes, This is something that we can use both internally when creating releases in GitLab, but also our customers can use. Group level environments and improved environments, they're kind of coupled together. So I'm going to talk about improved environments. I linked the wrong issue, I'm sorry. I'll fix that, but in a recent Think Big that we had, it turned out that environments are really, really hard to use, and sometimes they're even blocking. For example, when a user wants to use Terraform, environments as we have them today don't really work. Environments are usually connected on the issue level. So if you go here to environments, you have them on the project level, excuse me, and not on the group level. But environments usually span across a lot of things, so that's kind of connected to the group level environment that was mentioned here. But not only for that, what we want to do is we want to facelift environments as a whole. So first of all, we want to create a first class concept for environments, and this is not even a front end issue, but just kind of adding to the YAML syntax a type, so you can define the type of the environment without being stuck to a name. There's a naming convention that we kind of decided that all production environments are called production, but even internally in GitLab, our production is called GPRD. And so a lot of the features that are leaning on this naming convention won't work for us as GitLab. So we want to make it really flexible for users to be able to call their production environments whatever they want. Sometimes there's more than one environment. And so we have a lot of things tied to that, like value stream analytics, Dora for feature flags even, and more. And so we want to kind of give the users the ability to define it there however they want and tag it there however they want with this type. And that might also bring the environment page itself to be more useful. So just for example, when you open the GitLab.org project and you look at environments, you can automatically see that the first thing that you're greeted with is review apps. And so you have a ton of short-lived environments that are at the top of the page, whereas the more interesting environments are in the bottom. So there's a shift that we can do here. At a glance, it's really hard to understand what your production environment is. So we want to make it so that you can indicate it. I also want to make it available to create your favorite environment. So they're at the top, and also kind of link this to our environment dashboard, which is really interesting because we have two different pages that are called environments and they do different things and they're not even propagated from one to another. So I want them to talk to each other and kind of make it a better experience for anyone using environments, making it really easy to get to an environment, understand what's going on in the environment at a glance. And so this epic here, 5304, has some ideas on how we can kind of make this experience better. But if you have more ideas, feel free to open them and link them here to the epic. This is really great, not only because it makes the experience better and the UX better, it also can help more people onboard and use environments in GitLab. As I mentioned, it can unlock the Terraform use case and so on. So this is a really important thing to work on. It involves a lot of the stages as well, because everyone uses environments, whether you're using CI, whether you're using configure. Also for monitoring purposes, it's really important to know which environment you're monitoring and why. So this kind of touches around everything in the product. So there's a lot of impact here, and anything that we can do here to make the experience better, I think is a huge win for GitLab. Next is Pages. So Pages is a really important effort that we're currently doing. The infrastructure work that we've been working on for over a year, it's kind of in its home stretch. And so we're completing the migration from object storage from GitLab.com, from NFS to object storage, and we're going to move on to self-managed. Now, I didn't write here a direction yet for Pages, even though there's a ton of work that we have to do in Pages, because the effort of the infrastructure is so large that I kind of just want to complete that. And then we can talk about other things that we need to do for Pages. Pages has so many issues in the backlog with so many upvotes that there's just so much that we can do here. I promise to follow up with the page's direction once we complete the migration. I would assume it would start with wildcard support and so on, but stay tuned for that. And last but not least is review apps. Review apps has a really small issue that I want to tackle this year, and that's the mechanism to clean up stale environments. So this is an issue that's been around for a while. We had been doing some things to kind of help the situation. The big problem is that there's a lot of review apps that either don't have a deployment to them, so they never kind of get cleaned up, or they just stay in the system forever, and just selecting them to remove them is really tedious and annoying. So what we did was last year we introduced an auto stop keyword that stopped review apps after X amount of days. And then we also enhanced that. So the X amount of days was based on the deployment date, and some review apps never got deployed, so they never got cleaned up. So we also added another check that would be also on including the create date and not only the deploy date. But that's only proactive for new environments that were created. For old environments that we didn't have that keyword, they're still stuck in the system, and it's really, really hard to clean them up. So I'm going to go back to our example from before. This is what the environments page looks like for GitLab.com. And you can see here we have two grouped environments for reviews. And you can see, just for an example, review docs has over 2,000 environments. And when I open them up, you can see that some of them are over 2 years old, the last commit. So they're inactive, they're in the system, but there's really no easy way to clean them up. So what we wanted to do is introduce a way to clean them up, maybe by selecting all and then do cleanup, or maybe selecting a date and then selecting cleanup. But in any case, this is a problem both in-house and out, and also for our external customers. So we just want to make this experience easy and give people a way to remove their inactive review apps. It also has some kind of performance effect because there's some background activity that pulls all this environment. So we want to get rid of it and just, have your active environments and have a way to remove the ones that are not interesting. So that's all for the big picture of what we want to accomplish this year. Let me know if you have any questions, and thanks for hearing me out.